I am 78 years old, and, despite my age, I'm still surprised when someone comes up to me and says, "Your skin looks so smooth. How do you do it?" They say it with that mix of surprise and admiration that makes me smile, because for a long time, I myself believed it was already too late to take care of my face. I thought that at a certain age, the years simply show, and there's nothing to be done. Like many people, I spent decades trying costly creams, endless routines, and treatments that promised miracles. Every ad seemed to sell bottled hope. I bought little jars that claimed they would erase wrinkles, restore firmness, or brighten the skin in a matter of weeks. But the truth is that after so much money spent and so much hope invested, the only things I got were a drawer full of forgotten products and a feeling of frustration every time I looked in the mirror. There were days when I even thought the best thing was to resign myself, to tell myself, "That's it. This is my skin and I should accept it as it is." And yes, self-acceptance matters, but accepting doesn't mean giving up. One day I understood that continuing to care for myself wasn't about vanity. It was about respect for myself, about keeping alive the dignity and the joy of feeling good each morning. And it was right at that moment that an unexpected change appeared. It wasn't a luxury treatment, nor a fancy imported cream with a scandalous price tag. No. What transformed my skin and the way I saw myself in the mirror was something much simpler and more accessible. Something our grandmothers knew well, but many of us had forgotten. A natural oil, applied every night calmly, almost like a small self-care ritual. At first, I was skeptical. It seemed too simple to be true, but night after night I applied it, and little by little, I began to notice how my skin regained softness, freshness, and even a glow I thought I had lost forever. It wasn't magic, it was consistency. And that consistency changed not only my face, but also my mood and my confidence. In this video, I want to share my complete experience with you. I'll tell you what that oil is, how I use it, why it works, and what additional care boosts its effects. Don't expect a secret recipe that erases 20 years in an instant. What you are going to discover is a realistic, simple, and effective way to bring life back to your skin without spending a fortune and without getting tangled in endless routines. And before we begin, I'd love to get to know you a little better. Tell me in the comments how many years old you are and from where you're watching this video. Knowing that will make me feel like we're sharing this path together. The fear of aging and the skin. When we are young, we barely think about our skin. We see it smooth, firm, and radiant, and we believe it will be that way forever. However, as the years go by, the mirror starts to tell a different story. The first, fine. Lines appear, then more visible spots, and the texture isn't the same. It's as if each line were a silent reminder of the time that has passed. I clearly remember the first time I looked in the mirror and noticed a wrinkle that didn't disappear when I smiled. At first I told myself it was nothing, that it was a natural part of aging. But as other marks began to add up, I understood that something was changing, and that change awakened a strange feeling in me. It wasn't just vanity, it was the fear of losing a part of myself. Because the skin isn't just another organ, it's our face to the world. It's the calling card with which we present ourselves to others. When it changes, we feel that the way others perceive us changes too. And many times the way we perceive ourselves also changes. I know many people my age who feel the same. Some confess it to me in a low voice as if it were a secret. I don't recognize myself in the mirror. Others avoid looking at themselves too much, as if that could deny the passage of time. And there are those who cover up with makeup or clothes to hide in an attempt to recover what is no longer there. Dark spots, constant dryness, thinner and more fragile skin. Each of those details may seem small, but together they deliver a message. The body is aging. And although we've always known it, facing it in our own flesh can be hard. The skin becomes a visible reminder that youth is behind us. That feeling of losing identity is real. Many men and women feel that their value diminishes when their skin stops being smooth or when their face reflects every year lived, as if their essence were hidden under those layers of time. And the truth is that society doesn't help. Ads exalt perfect line-free skin as if that were the only acceptable beauty standard. But here I want to pause on a simple truth. The skin is also an open book that tells our story. Each line can be seen as a scar of experiences, of laughter, of tears, of sleepless nights, of loves and losses. Even so, just because it's part of life doesn't mean we should let it fall into neglect. More than any other organ, the skin is exposed to the outside world. Sun, wind, cold, heat, pollution, everything around us is reflected first on it. And that is why it is so vulnerable to the passage of time. It is the most visible organ of aging, and precisely for that reason, it deserves special care. Being afraid of aging is human, but what matters is not denying it, it's deciding what we do with that fear. In my case, it was that fear that pushed me to find a way to take care of my skin again. Not to stop the years, because that's impossible, but to feel that I still have some control over how I feel when I look at myself in the mirror. What the creams promised me. For many years, I believed that the solution to my skin problems was in the brightest displays at pharmacies and perfumeries. Every ad I saw on television or in a magazine spoke to me of instant miracles, models with perfect skin, radiant smiles, and promises to erase years in just a few days. And I wanted to believe it. I told myself that maybe the next cream would be the one that made the difference. I ended up spending large amounts on little glass jars that seemed to contain the secret of youth. Some came with sophisticated words like marine collagen, nanotechnology, or miracle extract. Everything sounded so convincing, so full of science and glamour, that I ended up persuading myself that this time, yes, it would work. Reality, however, was very different. After weeks of disciplined application, the wrinkles were still there, the spots didn't disappear, and the dryness continued as always. At times, I even ended up with more sensitive or reddened skin. What hurt most wasn't just the money lost, but the broken illusion each time the mirror showed me the same image as before. I especially remember a cream I bought at a luxury store. They assured me it contained exclusive ingredients used by celebrities who swore they weren't past 40, even though they were already more than 60. It was insanely expensive. I thought that if I spent that absurd amount, at least I would see clear results. I used it hoping to feel a change upon waking, to find a younger face or at least a more luminous one. But the only thing I found was an empty jar weeks later and a face just as tired as before. Over time, I understood that the beauty industry plays on our fears. They tell us, if you don't use this product, you'll age faster. If you buy it, you can stop time. They sell us the illusion that youth can be kept in a bottle, when in reality there's no science to support it in such a magical way. Yes, some creams hydrate, others soften temporarily, but none is capable of giving you back 20 years all at once. The gap between what they promise and what they deliver is brutal. In the ads, everything is light, freshness, and vitality. At home, what remains is frustration, because the skin doesn't change overnight. And the worst part is that this frustration wears down your self-confidence. You're left not only with less money, but also with the feeling of having been deceived, of having believed in something that never arrived. Looking back, I realized that what I needed most wasn't a miracle cream, but steady, simple, truthful care. Something not built on empty promises, but on real results. That's when I began to open my eyes to another way of caring for my skin. And that other way wasn't in shiny ads or on the priciest shelves, but in something much closer and more natural. The cosmetics industry promises youth, but it doesn't always deliver well-being. And I learned, perhaps too late, that what truly matters is not looking like 30, but feeling good about myself at 78. The discovery of the oil. The change began almost by chance. It wasn't a television ad or a luxury product. It was a simple conversation with a friend my own age. I remember we were having coffee, and I was struck by how good her skin looked. It had a natural glow I hadn't seen in a long time. I asked what cream she was using, and her answer threw me completely off. "I don't use a cream, I use an oil." My first reaction was disbelief. An oil for the face sounded strange. even risky. I had always heard that oil clogged pores left the skin greasy, that it was the worst thing you could put on your face. So when she told me, I looked at her with a skeptical smile and thought maybe she was exaggerating. But she insisted and told me how she applied it every night before bed with the confidence of someone who has found a secret that works. That same week, I decided to try it. I didn't buy it at a fancy store or an expensive pharmacy. It was a simple bottle, one you could easily overlook. The first night I looked at it distrustfully, as if it were too good to be true. I put a few drops in the palm of my hand, warmed it a little, and brought it to my face gently. The sensation was different from anything I had tried. It wasn't sticky, it wasn't uncomfortable, and as I massaged it in, I felt my skin absorb it, as if it had been waiting for it for years. In the first days, I wasn't expecting miracles. I kept telling myself not to get my hopes up too high, that maybe it was just another passing fad. But after a few nights, I started to notice small changes. The tightness I used to feel upon waking disappeared. My skin felt more supple, more comfortable, as if it had recovered a bit of life. And that simple change, though small, gave me hope. As the weeks went by, what surprised me most was the difference between using that oil and so many previous creams. There were no complications, no impossible instructions to follow. It was just a matter of applying a few drops every night, massaging calmly, and letting the oil do its work while I slept. There were no strong perfumes or strange textures. It was a simple ritual that reconnected me with myself. And in that simplicity, I found the key. After years of complicated routines and products that promised much and delivered little, I discovered that sometimes the simplest thing is the most powerful. It wasn't about seeking the most advanced formula, but about returning to the natural, to what is already in harmony with the body. Looking back, I think I may always have had that resource within reach, but I ignored it because I had been taught to trust advertising more than simplicity. It took reaching 78 years of age to understand that the real secret wasn't an expensive formula, but a nighttime oil that gave me back softness and confidence. Which oil it is and why it works. The oil that transformed my skin isn't an exclusive secret or a modern invention. It's something that has been present in many generations' lives, though we sometimes forget it because we look for the complex. I'm talking about rosehip oil. The first time I heard of it, I thought it would be just another pretty name, but I discovered that behind those words lies immense natural richness. This oil is extracted from the seeds of a wild shrub and has been used for centuries by different cultures to care for the skin and support healing. What makes it special is its unique composition, packed with vitamins, antioxidants, and essential fatty acids. Among its best-known properties is the presence of vitamin A in the form of natural retinoids, which help cellular regeneration and improve skin texture. It also contains vitamin C, a powerful antioxidant capable of brightening and softening spots, and vitamin E, which protects against damage from free radicals, those tiny invisible aggressors that accelerate aging. To this, we add essential fatty acids like omega-3 and omega-6, which keep the skin hydrated, flexible, and with a stronger protective barrier. In other words, it doesn't just soften on the outside, it also nourishes from within. When I compare it with other oils, I see clear differences. Sweet almond oil, for example, is excellent for hydrating and soothing, but it doesn't have the same regenerative power. Jojoba oil is very similar to the skin's natural sebum and is perfect for balancing, although it doesn't offer as many antioxidants. Olive oil is nourishing and protective, but heavier, with a stronger aroma that isn't always pleasant. Coconut oil, so popular these days, can be useful for hair and body, but on the face, it tends to clog pores. Rosehip oil, on the other hand, achieves an almost perfect balance, light, fast-absorbing, without a greasy feel, and with a hard-to-beat combination of nutrients. It's no coincidence that many doctors even recommend it for scars, minor burns, or stretch marks. Now, it's important to be clear about something. It isn't magic. No oil by itself can stop time. What makes the difference is consistency. Every night for months, I applied it patiently, not expecting immediate results, but trusting the process. And it was that discipline that, little by little, brought back softness, radiance, and vitality to my skin. Over time, I understood that what seemed like a small gesture was really a daily reminder. True care isn't found in haste, but in steady dedication. And that is this oil's greatest lesson. My nighttime routine, step by step. Over time, I learned that it's not enough to have the right oil. What truly makes the difference is how you apply it, the patience with which you turn that small gesture into a care ritual. Today, I want to tell you my nighttime routine exactly as I follow it every day before bed, because I believe the key lies in consistency and details. The first thing I do is prepare my skin. For years, I went to sleep with traces of dust, sweat, or even city grime still on my face. We may not notice it in the moment, but the skin needs to breathe. That's why I always start with a gentle cleanse now. I use a neutral soap without perfumes or harsh chemicals. I'm not looking for abundant foam or anything sophisticated, just a simple product that removes what's necessary without drying. Then I rinse with lukewarm water, never too hot because that can irritate, and I pat dry with a soft towel, dabbing instead of rubbing. Once the skin is clean and still slightly damp, it's time for the oil. I place between 3 and 4 drops in the palm of my hand. You don't need more because the skin doesn't need excess. I warm those drops by gently rubbing my palms so the oil reaches a pleasant temperature and spreads better. That simple gesture makes the application feel more comforting, almost like a relaxing massage. I start with the face, always using upward motions from the chin toward the cheeks, as if helping the skin remain firm. Then I move to the forehead in circular movements, which not only distribute the oil but also relieve the tension built up during the day. I give special time to the eye area, always using the ring finger because it applies less pressure. The skin there is more delicate and needs gentler care. Then I go down to the neck and chest. We often forget those areas, but they're just as visible as the face and also show the passage of time. I apply the oil with broad strokes, always from bottom to top, to stimulate circulation and maintain firmness. Finally, I take care of my hands. I add 1 extra drop and rub it between my fingers, caring for the cuticles and the backs of the hands, because hands are another calling card that often ages before the face. The full massage takes me between 5 and 10 minutes. I don't rush it. I do it as a calm ritual that helps me close the day. While I massage, I breathe deeply and remind myself this is a moment for me. That calm is also part of the treatment because the skin responds better when the body is relaxed. One of the most common fears when using oils is the greasy feeling. I had it at first, but I discovered the key is the amount. With just a few drops, the skin absorbs the oil well, and there's no heavy film. If I ever feel I overdid it, I simply remove the excess with a soft tissue. What matters is that the skin feels nourished, not coated. After applying the oil, I don't add anything else. I don't use additional creams or strange mixtures. I let the oil work overnight while I rest. And when I wake up, I wash my face with cool water and feel that softness again, the one that motivates me to keep going. This routine doesn't require big investments or complications, just consistency, patience, and kindness toward oneself. In the end, more than a treatment, it has become a daily reminder that I still deserve care and attention, even at 78 years of age. The first changes. The first week was quite a surprise. I wasn't expecting immediate results, but even in those first days, something changed in my skin. The tightness I used to feel upon waking almost completely disappeared. Before, I would get up with a dry face, as if my skin were crying out for some relief. Now, in contrast, I woke up with a different softness, as if it had spent the night breathing freely. When I touched my face, I felt a more flexible, more alive texture. That small change was enough to give me hope. 2 weeks went by, and the difference was more evident. The fine lines around my eyes and mouth were still there, because the years don't vanish, but they seemed less pronounced. It wasn't a miracle, it was natural progress. My skin had a discreet glow I hadn't seen in a long time. That light, which seemed lost, was slowly returning. After 1 month, the results were impossible to ignore. Some spots I'd been seeing for years seemed to fade, and my skin no longer looked dull, but more even-toned. Even my cheeks, which used to feel rough, were soft to the touch. That was when I looked in the mirror one morning and thought, I recognized myself again. Not as someone of 30, because that stage has passed, but as a renewed version of myself, closer to what I always wanted to see reflected. The most curious thing was other people's reactions. My family were the first to notice. One of my granddaughters, with her innocence, said to me one day, "Grandpa, your face is glowing." And that simple phrase touched my heart. My children also began asking whether I had changed creams or was sleeping better. Some friends, those who don't usually notice superficial details, told me they saw me more alert, with more energy. Those external reactions confirmed what I already felt inside. The change wasn't only physical, it was emotional too. And although I knew the oil wouldn't erase the years, I understood that it could indeed give me back vitality, confidence, and a sense of well-being I thought was impossible at 78. The link between skin and self-esteem. Skincare goes far beyond the physical. At first I thought it was all about softness, wrinkles, and spots, but I soon discovered that what changes most is how you look at yourself. Caring for my skin became a daily reminder that I'm still valuable, that I still deserve time and dedication. I noticed how my attitude began to change. I used to avoid going out much. I thought my tired face made me look weaker or older than I truly felt. Now, on the contrary, I go out with more confidence. I walk tall and greet people without dropping my gaze. It's amazing how a small external change can awaken so much inner strength. I also started smiling more. It may seem trivial, but for years I avoided it because I felt every smile highlighted the lines around my mouth. Today, I smile without fear, because those lines are still there, yes, but they no longer define me. Now I see them as part of my story, not as a burden. One day a friend wanted to take my picture, and to my surprise, I didn't refuse. For a long time I had rejected cameras because I didn't want to see in images what the mirror already showed me, but on that occasion, I accepted calmly. When I saw the photo later, I found a face that, though marked by years, conveyed vitality. And I realized that was what mattered most. What changed in me wasn't just the texture of my skin, but my spirits. I began to feel rejuvenated at heart. The oil gave me more than softness, it gave me a kinder relationship with myself. And as I felt better, I related to others differently. I no longer hide, I no longer think my appearance is a burden. On the contrary, now I want to share more, laugh more, and be present in the lives of those I love. That is the true power of skincare. It isn't vanity, it's self-esteem. It's reminding ourselves each day that we're still alive and that it's worth showing ourselves to the world with dignity and confidence. What doctors and science say. After my first weeks using the oil, I wanted to know if what I was feeling had any real backing. I didn't want to live on illusions again, so I started reading what doctors and science say about natural oils applied to the skin, and what I found confirmed many of my impressions. There are studies showing how plant oils rich in essential fatty acids help strengthen the skin barrier. That barrier is like a protective wall that keeps moisture in and prevents skin from drying out. As we age, that wall weakens, and that's where natural oils play a crucial role. They reinforce it, hydrate, and restore elasticity. Doctors explain that certain oils, such as rosehip, contain antioxidants capable of combating free radicals, those tiny invisible agents that damage our cells and accelerate aging. By neutralizing them, the skin is better able to repair itself and remain firm. They also point out that the vitamins present in these oils promote cellular regeneration and improve texture over time. Comparing the natural with the chemical, there's a clear difference. Conventional cosmetics often focus on immediate effects, tightening the skin for a few hours, covering with silicones to give a sensation of smoothness, or adding perfumes that make us believe we're using something sophisticated. Natural oils don't promise results from one day to the next. They act slowly, deeply, and cumulatively, working in harmony with the skin rather than masking it. However, there are important caveats too. Not all oils work for everyone. Oily skin, for example, doesn't tolerate very heavy oils like coconut well. Some people have allergies and should patch test before using them. And most importantly, not all oils sold on the market are pure. Some are mixed with fragrances or diluted in lower quality products. That's why doctors emphasize choosing cold-pressed oils without additives and always from trustworthy sources. For me, that information was a relief. It confirmed that this wasn't just wishful thinking, but a method with scientific basis. But it also reminded me of something essential. The natural can be powerful, as long as it's used with knowledge and responsibility. Common mistakes when using oils. Over time, I also discovered that having a good oil in your hands isn't enough. I've met people who tried it and ended up saying it didn't work at all. Most of the time, it wasn't the oil's fault, but how they used it. The most common mistake is applying too much. Some people think that if a few drops work, half a bottle will be better. But the skin doesn't need excess. When you use more than necessary, pores get overloaded, the skin feels heavy, and pimples or irritation can appear. The secret is moderation. 3 or 4 drops are enough for the entire face and neck. Another frequent mistake is not cleansing the skin well before application. If the face is covered with dust, sweat, or makeup residue, the oil can't penetrate properly. In those cases, instead of nourishing, it just seals in the dirt, and the result is the opposite of what you want. The foundation of any care is prior cleansing. I've also seen people buy low-quality oils, bottles with eye-catching labels that, upon closer inspection, were full of artificial perfumes or diluted in other cheap oils. I knew a neighbor who applied a supposed argan oil she had bought at a fair and ended up with irritated, reddened skin. When we checked the label, it barely contained a small percentage of real argan. Lastly, there's the mistake of impatience. Some expect results in a few days, and not seeing drastic changes, they quit. I myself was about to do that in the past with other routines, but the difference with nighttime oil is that its effect is cumulative. If you don't give it time, you never get to experience its true power. That's why, whenever someone asks how I got my skin to look smoother, I always say the same thing. It isn't just the oil, it's the way you use it, the right amount, clean skin, a quality product, and patience. Those are the invisible ingredients that make the oil truly work. Beyond the oil, complementary habits. Over time, I learned that no product, no matter how good, can do everything by itself. The nighttime oil gave me surprising results. Yes, but those results were boosted by other habits I gradually incorporated into my daily life. The skin is a mirror of what's happening inside the body, and caring for it involves much more than applying something on the surface. The first habit I consider essential is nutrition. I discovered that the more fresh fruits and vegetables I eat, the more radiant my skin looks. I'm not talking about strict diets or deprivation, but about making room on the plate for foods full of vitamins and antioxidants. An apple a day, a handful of berries, carrots, spinach, or even something as simple as a bit of avocado. All of that provides nutrients your skin appreciates. I also learned to value healthy fats, like those in olive oil, nuts, or fish. Far from being harmful, they help maintain elasticity and hydration from within. Water is another fundamental pillar. For years, I thought drinking more or less didn't matter that much, but I discovered that when I keep my body hydrated, my skin responds immediately. It's not about forcing down liters and liters, but about being consistent. 1 glass of water upon waking, another before each meal, and another before bed. Small gestures that, added up, change a lot. Restorative sleep is perhaps the most forgotten habit, and the most evident on the face. When I don't sleep well, my skin betrays me with dark circles, pallor, and tiredness. In contrast, after a good night's rest, my face wakes up renewed. I understood that the oil works better while the body sleeps because those are the hours when the skin regenerates. That's why I now guard my schedule and try to keep a calm environment before bedtime. I also learned to respect the sun. When I was young, I spent hours exposed without protection, and I paid the price with spots and dryness. Today, I know the sun is a source of life, but it can also be harsh, so I always go out with a hat or sunscreen. even when the day seems cloudy. It's a simple detail that prevents cumulative damage over the years. In short, the oil was the beginning, but the real transformation came from pairing it with a complete routine: good nutrition, enough water, restorative sleep, and sun protection. These are simple habits, accessible to everyone, but they help keep the skin and the whole body young inside and out. As time went by, I wasn't the only one who experienced the benefits of nighttime oil. I shared my experience with friends and acquaintances my age, and several decided to try it. What surprised me most was seeing that, although every skin is different, everyone noticed some positive change. A friend, 75 years old, told me that after 1 month using the oil, the spots on her hands began to lighten and her skin felt softer. A neighbor, who had always been skeptical about these things, tried it almost in secret. Soon he admitted that his wife told him his face looked more relaxed and less dry. Even one of my daughters, who at first looked at me with suspicion, ended up adding it to her routine and now tells me her skin feels more balanced than ever. The most interesting part was the conversations that sprang from this. Friends who had never talked about their skin began sharing experiences, insecurities, and small wins. I discovered that, regardless of age, we all want to feel good about ourselves. It isn't about wanting to look eternally young, but about staying dignified and comfortable in our own skin. And that's where I understood a profound lesson. Caring for the skin isn't an act of vanity, but of self-love. It's telling ourselves each day that we still matter, that it's still worth dedicating a few minutes to our well-being. It doesn't matter if you are 40, 60, or more than 80 years old. Personal care has no expiration date. The truth of soft skin at 78. Today, looking back, I see the path clearly. I went through the fear of aging, the frustration of spending money on the beauty industry's empty promises, the disappointment of looking in the mirror and not recognizing myself. Until one day, I rediscovered the power of the simple. A nighttime oil that gave me back softness, confidence, and a kinder relationship with myself. It wasn't an overnight change. It was a slow, steady process made of patience and discipline, a routine that transformed my skin, but also my way of living. I learned that it's never too late to feel good about yourself, that the years aren't an obstacle, but an opportunity to rediscover ourselves with new eyes. The oil was my tool, but the bigger message is that self-care is a reminder of self-love. You don't need to spend a fortune or hunt for miracle formulas. You need consistency, kindness, and the decision to give yourself a few minutes each day. If you've made it this far, I want to invite you to reflect on your own routine. Give a chance to the natural, to the simple, to what has proven to work for generations. Do it patiently, and you'll see how, little by little, both your skin and your spirits regain their glow. And now I want to ask you something. How many years old are you, and from which country are you watching this video? Tell me in the comments, because I'll love to read you and feel that I'm not alone on this path. And if this story inspired you, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe so we can keep accompanying each other in this search for well-being and dignity at any age.